Hi, boys and girls. It's Mrs. L, and today we're going to read a great folktale called The Three Bears. Now, a folktale is kind of like a fairy tale in that it's been handed down from person to person to person. So it says that Paul Galdone wrote this, but he really retold it. And because these are stories that are for us all, and they've been told over the years from person to person. So while we're reading The Three Bears, this folktale, I want you to be thinking about a couple of things that we look for in stories. I want you to think about who the characters are. I want you to think about the problem of the story and the setting. And we'll talk about that when we get to the end. The Three Bears by Paul Galdone. Don't worry, I'll let you all see the pictures. Sometimes I have to turn it to read it, but I'll make sure everybody gets to see, okay? Once upon a time, there were three bears who lived together in a house of their own in the woods. Oops. Make sure you can see. Well, that tells me I'm just looking, thinking, that's the setting. These three bears, they live together in a house of their own in the woods. That would be where the story took place. The Three Bears' house in the woods. That's called the setting. One of them was a little wee bear, one was a middle-sized bear, and the other was a great big bear. Oh my goodness. And you know what? These are three of the characters in the story. Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear, or they're called Great Big, Little, and Middle-sized, or Wee Bear. They each had a bowl for their porridge. The little wee bear had a little wee bowl. The middle-sized bear had a middle-sized bowl, and the great big bear had a great big bowl. They each had a chair to sit in. The little wee bear had a little wee chair. The middle-sized bear had a middle-sized chair, and the great big bear had a great big chair. And look at that. That's in their house in the woods, which is the setting of the story. And they each had a bed to sleep in. The little wee bear had a little wee bed. The middle-sized bear had a middle-sized bed. And the great big bear had a great big bed. And one morning, the three bears made porridge for breakfast and poured it into their bowls, but it was too hot to eat, so they decided to go for a walk in the woods until it cooked. While the three bears were walking, I wonder what's going to happen. I like to think about what might happen next in a story. And I think you might know if you know the story. But I'm thinking, what might happen next? Oh, look at this. A little girl named Goldilocks came to their house. Goldilocks is another character in the story. First, she looked in at the window, and then she peeked through the keyhole. Of course, there was nobody inside. Goldilocks turned the handle of the door. Uh-oh. I'm thinking we're starting to get to the problem of the story. Let's see. The door was not locked because the three bears were trusting bears and didn't know no one any harm and never thought anyone would harm them. So Goldilocks opened the door and went right in. There was the porridge on the table. It smelled very, very good. Goldilocks didn't stop to think whose porridge it was. She went straight to it. I'm starting to think in my head that this is where the problem might be coming in. Because we all know you shouldn't go into houses that aren't yours and take things that aren't yours. First, she tasted the porridge of the great big bear, but it was too hot. And then she tasted the porridge of the middle-sized bear, but it was too cold. And then she tasted the porridge of the wee little bear. It was neither too hot nor too cold, but just right. Goldilocks liked it so much that she ate it all up. Then Goldilocks went into the parlor to see what else she could find. Are you thinking that this is a problem in the story? I'm thinking this is a problem. If you think it's a problem, it's probably a problem. There were three chairs. First, she sat down in the big chair of the great big bear, but it was too hard. And then she sat down in the chair of the middle-sized bear, but it was too soft. And then she sat down in the chair of the little wee bear. It was neither too hard nor too soft, but just right. Goldilocks liked it so much that she rocked and rocked and rocked until the bottom of the chair fell out. Down she went, plop, onto the floor. Goldilocks went into the bedroom where the three bears slept. Oh boy, think the problem's getting bigger. First, she lay down upon the bed of the great big bear, but it was too high at the head for her. And then she lay down upon the bed of the middle-sized bear, but it was too high at the foot for her. And then she lay down upon the bed of the little wee bear. It was neither too high at the head nor too high at the foot, but just right. Goldilocks liked it so much that she covered herself up and fell fast asleep. By this time, the three bears thought their porridge would be cool enough, so they came home for breakfast. Uh-oh. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? I'm thinking there could be some trouble, because they don't know that Goldilocks is in their house. Goldilocks had left the spoon of the great big bear in his porridge bowl. He noticed it first thing. "Somebody has been tasting my porridge," said the great big bear in his great big voice. Goldilocks had left the spoon of the middle-sized bear in her porridge too. "Somebody has been tasting my porridge," said the middle-sized bear in her middle-sized voice. These are all clues that something's not right. Then the wee little bear looked at his bowl. "Somebody's been tasting my porridge and has eaten it all up," cried the little wee bear in his little wee voice. And the three bears went into the parlor. Goldilocks had left the cushion crooked in the chair of the great big bear. He noticed it first thing. "Somebody has been sitting in my chair," said the great big bear in his great big voice. Oh, these are all clues. We always look for clues in stories, and these are good clues. Goldilocks had squashed down the cushion in the chair of the middle-sized bear. "Somebody has been sitting in my chair," said the middle-sized bear in her middle-sized voice. And then the little wee bear looked at his chair. "Somebody has been sitting in my chair and has sat right through it," cried the little wee bear in his little wee voice. The three bears went into the bedroom. What do you think's going to happen when they go in the bedroom? Oh my goodness. Goldilocks had pulled the pillow of the great big bear out of place. He noticed it first thing. "Somebody has been lying in my bed," said the great big bear in his great big voice. Goldilocks had pulled the blanket of the middle-sized bear out of place. "Somebody has been lying in my bed," said the middle-sized bear in her middle-sized voice. Then the little wee bear looked at his bed. "Somebody has been lying in my bed, and here she is," cried the little wee bear in his little wee voice. And this woke Goldilocks up at once. There were the three bears all staring at her. This is where the problem really gets big, because Goldilocks was so frightened that she tumbled out of the bed and ran to the open window, and out she jumped. And she ran away as fast as she could, never looking behind her. No one knows what happened to Goldilocks after that. As for the three bears, they never saw her again. That is the story of the three bears. And I think that you saw in here, we said we were going to talk about the characters. Well, we have the three bears are three of the characters. And we also have Goldilocks. I'll show you a picture of her. Goldilocks as a character. The setting, they tell us right in the very first page. I really liked that. Once upon a time, there were three bears who lived together in a house of their own in the woods. That's the setting. Where does the story take place? The three bears' house in the woods. And the problem, we know, is when Goldilocks came into their house. There she is. and she tried out their porridge, and she tried out their chairs, and she tried out their beds, and at the end, she had to run away and jump out the window. That would be the problem of the story. I hope you enjoyed The Three Bears. Keep reading. I miss you. Bye-bye.